Hi, my name is Serj Markarian. I'm a real estate broker with Halstead Real Estate in Manhattan, New York, and today I want to tell you about the process of purchasing a home in New York City. Let's face it, buying a home in New York is not like anywhere else in the world, and it's my job to help my buyers navigate the market and ultimately own their own piece of New York.
But the choices are endless. Who will help me with this process and answer some of my questions? I know there are boards here that perform interviews. What can I afford? What neighborhood?
So Samantha is finally ready to make that leap and purchase her own home. And here are a few pointers where I begin with my buyer. Samantha told me she needs a 2-bedroom apartment with 2 bathrooms. The apartment has to be very bright, and she wants a washer and dryer in the unit. These were her must-haves. So based on what Samantha is looking for and her financial qualifications, we decided that a co-op apartment would be her best option. Generally, condos are 12 to 15% pricier than co-ops because co-ops have restricted rules for subletting and they usually take much longer to close a deal. But Samantha's time frame is flexible and she would love to be in by the end of the year. And then we go see apartments. Now, when viewing the apartments, it's important that you take note of the space, the light, noise level, building proximity to public transportation and grocery stores. Also, a buyer should look for any possible damages to the walls, ceilings, and floors in the apartment. It's easy to get overwhelmed and not notice little dents and cracks. Nowadays, inventory in Manhattan real estate is very low, and I, as Samantha's agent, need to dig deeper and utilize all my resources to find what she's looking for. So I call homeowners of 2 bedrooms in buildings that I know will be a good fit for Samantha. I'm connected to hundreds of Halstead agents in New York City, in addition to agents in other brokerages, and I do everything possible to find the right apartment for my buyers. At some point, Samantha and I have seen 20 different apartments, and she has a great feel about the variety of apartments that fit in her budget. And finally, Samantha has found an apartment that she's truly excited about. We compare number of days this apartment has been on the market. In this case, they've had 2 price reductions already. These are just a few points that we can leverage to negotiate a better price for Samantha. And finally, I put the offer in writing and send it to the seller's agent. So it turns out the seller received another offer right after we submitted ours. Multiple offers are tricky. We don't know how high we should go. The other buyer can overbid us regardless of the price. This is another area where it's extremely important for a buyer to have a professional representation. That brings us to the end of part 1. Stay tuned to learn more about how Samantha ends up with her perfect apartment in Halstead. Welcome to part 2 of the Buyer's Process series. Let's continue with Samantha as she searches for the perfect home in New York City. After a few back and forths with the seller side, we decided on a price that we believed was best and Samantha was still comfortable with. We also submitted various qualification documents to show the seller that Samantha is highly qualified, extremely motivated, and is ready to close as soon as possible. Yes, our offer is accepted. As soon as the offer is accepted, the seller's attorney sends out the contract draft to Samantha's attorney. It takes a few days for the attorney to finish his due diligence, during which time attorneys negotiate the contract terms as well. Once the contract is finalized, Samantha signs it and delivers a deposit check to the seller's attorney. Deposit is normally 10% of the purchase price. Now we're in contract. And now it's time to work on the board package. It's very, very important to provide every single document that the board requires. Everything has to be organized carefully. This could be one of the most stressful parts of buying a co-op, and of course, it can get complicated too. This is one of the most important roles of a real estate agent. This is my expertise. It may take a few weeks until we hear back from the board, and every board operates differently. We finally hear that board has approved the application. This is a major step for Samantha, and of course, she's beyond excited. Now we need to prepare for the board interview. But of course, she's very nervous, so I prep her for the interview. We even run a few practice interviews to make sure she's 100% comfortable. And sure enough, Samantha passes her board interview. At this stage, we schedule a closing. This is mainly coordinated by attorneys. We complete the closing, which can take a little bit, so be sure to set aside about 2 hours. And my favorite part of buying a home in New York City is to give the keys to Samantha. Real estate transactions in New York City can get complicated. It's very important that you work with an experienced agent. This is where I come in. I help my buyers to get into a home that they love in a neighborhood that they want to be in for many years to come. I help them purchase their own piece of New York City. I'm Serj Markarian, real estate broker with Halstead Real Estate.